Hi everyone, this is Kevin. I'm doing a video for review your own car for Amy's website. So this is the second car I'm doing today, and I previously did my Ferrari 488 Pista. So today we're going to do this Porsche 991.2 GT3 RS. So this is a 2019 model. I've had it for more than a year now, and as you can see, let's start with the obvious ones. So the color scheme is this is what is called Miami blue, and it's a little different blue than other blues that I've seen. There are many shades of blue obviously out there for different cars, and for Porsches, Miami blue is sort of between a brilliant color and a dull color blue. And initially I was not sure if this color is going to come out okay, but actually it did come out really well, and especially when I added other packages in the car. So this car has the Weissach package. So the Weissach package includes some aesthetic stuff that's added to the car, and then some bits and components for the suspension that are carbon fiber, and it's inherited from their race car, the Cup car. So in this case, all GT3 RSs come with a hood that's carbon fiber, but this is an exposed carbon fiber, so they left it like that. So when the carbon fiber is not exposed and they're painted, generally the weaves are not as nicely done. That's why they paint it. It's not really nice to have carbon without the bordered weaving of the carbon. But here they've done this exposed, so you can see the weaving of the carbon, and it's nicely done. I think this combination of this darker carbon with the Miami blue actually stands out. So the other thing about this car is the headlights. So you can get the headlights, the internals of the headlight, these plastic pieces are not dark, and they're sort of silver color, but this darker color along with the LED option on the headlights turned out very nice contrast against that Miami blue again. These cars are most of my cars. I usually use them for track days. That's really why I buy these cars. So that's why you see the tow hook is there as a requirement for people who do track days, to have that available in case you go off, that they can take the car out of gravel quickly and not lose time. There's nothing more I can tell about the car from here. The GT3 RS produces about 520 horsepower, somewhere around 400 pound-feet of torque. It's a normally aspirated engine, and I talked about it, and then I was doing my Pista, how a linear response is very desirable when you do tracking the cars. So this has that normally aspirated linear response, meaning no turbo lag. The power linearly builds up as you go up in RPM, and it continues all the way to higher RPMs. Now, one thing about the car is, even with normally aspirated cars, at the end of the RPM, the torque and power horsepower can be flattened out, and that's because the initial components in the engine, the components in the engine prevents the engine to rev at those high RPMs. So what they've done with a car like this, just like race cars, they've replaced the internals of the regular engine with, for example, titanium rods and things like that. That's lightweight, and therefore at the higher RPM you still get that very linear response all the way in terms of power response. So that allows this engine to rev up to 9100 RPM, which sounds fantastic when you get there. So now here to the side, the wheels are this gold color. Actually, that was a mistake on my part when I ordered the car. I did not pay that attention. I was looking for silver. There were an option with the Weissach wheels, which is magnesium BBS wheels. that they put on 918. That was an $18,000 option. When I ordered the car, that was not available because those wheels were allocated to GT3 RS at the time and they have limited supply. So I ended up with the regular wheel, but I wanted actually the platinum silver color, and I made a mistake when I was speccing it and came out to the standard color, which is this gold color. In the end, it didn't turn out so bad. It's different than other cars, but yeah. So the other thing about the GT3 RS are these louvers on the top of the fender. And the idea here is that to relieve pressure from inside and let that come out, because if that pressure builds up at high speed, it tends to lift the car, and with this that relieves that pressure, and therefore the downforce is improved. There are these ducts here for conducting the air or leading the air into the brakes for cooling. So inside there's plastic, I guess, tubes that go into the brakes and keep the calipers and the brake pads cool under heavy usage on the track. Other aspects of the car, so these are actually pretty interesting. This is an aftermarket, the only aftermarket piece that's on this car. And this is for preventing wind buffeting. So as you go on the track, usually, at least the track days that I go to, the windows have to be rolled down. And as the windows are rolled down, actually wind buffeting can be very, very annoying with the standard piece, which is just a flat piece here, plastic piece. I replaced it with this carbon fiber piece with this little shape at the end. And just believe it or not, that little shape here prevents wind buffeting inside the cabin, which is very annoying over 90 miles per hour. It's so strong that strong vibration inside the inside the cabin that it's a very good piece. It's these are GMG pieces, and about $500 or so, one for this side and one for the other. The other aspects of the car, if I just open the car, it's and you can come and see the bucket seats. These are carbon bucket seats. Some of the best seats I've ever seen for track use, especially for a person of my size. It really fits snuggle in there and prevents me from sliding all over the place. So that's a nice one. There's the carbon piece here and here, and there are just bits and pieces that they've added. And now you can see also here that I took the sill, the door sill, in carbon fiber, and with the GT3 RS. So what else can I say about this is, okay, the engine breathing and brake cooling happens here. This goes in the air, gets divided into two. One goes into the air brake, cooling the air, the brakes, and the other feeds the engine as well. And the other option with Weissach package was the wing coming again in exposed carbon, and you can see here and with the Porsche letters on top of it. So that's also a Weissach package. If we come to the back of the car, so generally the 911 GT3 RS does not come with the Porsche lettering here. I added this myself. I really like the busier part of the back. Without this it looked empty, so I wanted to add this, and we added this. And you can see obviously the license plate, so obvious with such a big wing here. Downforce, that's what it stands for. The exhaust is titanium, lightweight material, and with titanium you can see that initially it has a silver color, but as it gets heated and over time it actually combines with nitrogen in the atmosphere and forms titanium nitride on the surface, which titanium nitride, depending on the thickness, has many shades of color. As it gets thicker, actually looks golden color, as you can see here. But you also see in some areas that get even thicker, you can see a bluish hue there
and that's because titanium nitride formation, nitrogen in the atmosphere, titanium gets hot, combine, and forms titanium nitride, and it gets this color. So don't be surprised you get a silver titanium exhaust and it turns into this gold color. It's part of the deal, titanium nitride. Now, in terms of the technicals of the car, obviously downforce is a big component of this wing. As the air comes, presses down. Downforce is something that goes both ways. One, is that downforce is there is a dependence on speed. Obviously, as you go faster and faster, the downforce gets higher and higher. But with that, actually, the top speed of the car becomes limited because now the downforce puts extra force down in the back of the car and prevents it from achieving the highest speed. So with a smaller wing, but perhaps this car has a higher top speed. And I think, even if you compare GT3 with GT3 RS, there's a couple of miles per hour difference in their top speed just because of the larger wing on the GT3 RS. Now, it's, in most tracks, you don't achieve 190 miles an hour in straight sections. And so it really doesn't matter, and you require downforce more than what you require the top speed. So it makes sense for this car to have it. Now with the Porsches, obviously the engine sits in the back, and that's with these big tires, you have a lot of weight on top of what matters, which is the contact patch of the tire for your grip, and therefore lateral G-force that you can tolerate. Now there's always a balance between weight and the amount of lateral G you can tolerate versus what the car can do. So if you remember, when Nissan GT-R came out, it's a very bulky car, it's a very heavy car, and that's the balance actually that Nissan intentionally played to make the car heavier in terms of producing more downforce. Essentially, there's weight on the contact patches of the tires, and therefore you get better stability. So, but also that weight plays a role when you go around the corners, and the lateral G, you can take less of a lateral G because of it, because you need the car to be light. So you can see all these components in a race car plays a role. The amount of downforce, the weight of the car. As you have less weight of the car, then you have less weight on the tires. That means your traction is not as much. So there's a balance between the two, and you compensate for that loss of weight on the tires with the downforce. So now with race cars, the wings are huge because, as I said, you develop downforce depending on the speed. And the higher the speed, more of a downforce. But also the higher the surface area, you develop more downforce. So since around the corners you're not taking the car at such a high speed, you need the downforce, especially race cars are designed to be light such that you can take the corner faster. So really that downforce that comes from the wing, such a large wing for race cars, is to improve that because the car is very light. And you want to improve the force on the contact patch. So with that, I'm going to start up the car, and we're going to rev it, and you can hear the exhaust. So. With that, I'm going to end this video on the GT3 RS. Next time I'm going to review my McLaren 600 LT. Thank you.